From Philadelphia, this is Fox 29 News at 10.
Well, if the Senate passes the financial reform bill, your bank will have to make some changes. It's going to impact your cash. We're going to talk to an expert to find out exactly what's going on with your money next.
Okay. Money. It's a gas.
Well, the Senate will be taking up the financial reform bill when lawmakers return from their 4th of July break. We've heard a lot about this bill, but what does it really mean for banks and, most importantly, for you? We're going to talk more about that. Ann Duke is an attorney who specializes in banking law. And good to see you. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Hey, thanks, Carrie Lee. Thanks for having me.
So we know this package is controversial. We know it's being called the biggest financial reform since the Great Depression, but why?
Well, it's definitely big. It's 2,300 pages. It has 15 different titles, all of which affect every segment of the financial services industry. It layers a lot of new regulations on banks. It adds more bureaucracy to existing bureaucracy. It is very big, it is very sweeping, and it will be very expensive.
And so we need to learn how it affects us. This bill will apparently restrict the types of products that are going to be available to the consumers and make them more expensive. How so?
Well, I think you can look at both sides of your relationship with your bank. The retail side, where you walk in and you do your business and you have your checking account and things like that. Remember, this bill is very expensive, and they're going to try to pass a lot of the costs onto the banks. You know, the banks aren't going to eat that. They're going to pass that on to you. There are experts that say that, you know, we've seen the last of free checking. Many of the ancillary services are going to have new fees attached. On the loan side, there is a specific bureaucracy that's being set up to determine what products banks can offer on the loan side. It affects your mortgage, your credit card, home equity lines, all of those things, and the more restrictive they are, the more expensive they are.
So really coming at us from every angle, it sounds like. But it's not all good for banks, right? There are pros and cons for banks as well.
Well, you know, obviously the banks don't think there are any pros because there are more fees, there are more regulations. So, you know, the bankers are bemoaning this. But there are some pros. Some of the risky behavior of the past is being restricted, spun off into separate entities. So there is some argument to be made that there are some pros. The cons are really layering more and more regulation on top of a highly regulated industry. A specific con is they don't address Fannie Mae at all, which many believe was at the heart of the whole crash.
Absolutely. Now, since the measure wasn't passed this past weekend, we're hearing it likely won't see votes until at least the middle of July. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe that's true.
Okay, Ann Duke, thanks so much for coming in tonight.
Thanks, Carrie Lee.
Something that affects us all, that's for sure.